Hey, Crispus, Kimberly's here.
Yeah. Gotta change to
Yeah.
Hello.
gallery. Yeah, welcome, Biarawanga. Nice to see you. And Zoe's here. Hi, Zoe. Hi, Brian. Thank you for joining.
How's it going, everybody?
It's good.
Good. It's going well. I'm gonna drop this link in again so it gets here to everybody. Yeah, so I figured, right, so, like I was saying, we're gonna have the interactive presentation, and here comes Alex. Adrian, it's very exciting. I'm very grateful to have everyone jump in. Hi, Alex.
Hi, Rob. Hi, everyone.
Hey.
Nice to meet you all.
Great to see you. And Yakim is here.
Yeah, hi Rob.
Hi, thank you for jumping in. What a lovely
Thank you.
surprise. Great to
Nice
see
bow
you.
tie shirt. I like that.
Yeah, and hi, Adrian. So we'll get going shortly here, and what we can do is I thought before I jump right into the presentation, could just go around and have everyone just share their name, share where they are located in the world geographically, and then also just share where like what projects or organization you're representing, projects, or can be multiple, and that project might just be you as a human being, so that works as well. So just bring everybody's voice in, and then you can start. Hi, Justin, thanks for popping in. Hi, Natalie. So yeah, why don't we do that, and we can just go around and one person can say their name, where they're located, and what project or organization they're representing, and then can choose the next person. So I'll start. My name is Rob, and I'm here representing Holistic Systems Cooperative, also the Rob Hurwitz project to earn a living and all of that. So I will pass it to Zoe.
Thanks, Rob. It's so good to see you. I haven't seen, yeah, it's good to see all of you. Natalie, Newman. I've been away for the past few months traveling and a little busy, so it's really good to be back in the loop, especially on such an exciting day. Yeah, so exciting. And I'm super out of the loop, so I'll be doing mostly listening. I don't think I'll have much to contribute today. I mostly do social media for a few clients, and strategy, management, content creation, editing, that sort of stuff. But yeah, with Holistic Systems, we had a lot of amazing conversations about the world, society, capitalism, all of it. And we've laughed a lot as well. And I have my own organization that does a lot of international solidarity and peace events. So we're still doing all that. It's usually online. So if you ever want to join those events, those are free and online as well. I guess I'll pass it to Newman.
Hey, everyone. I'm Newman, calling in from New York City. I'm a little bit under the weather today, but I'm super stoked to see everyone. My organization is HSC. I also work for an innovation fund on the Cardano blockchain called Project Catalyst. But I'm mostly focused on documentation, education, trying to figure out how to collaboratively work together to make a better world. And Corel. I can pass it to, yeah, there you go.
Hi, everyone. Nice to see you again, Rob and Newman and Natalie, of course. My name's Carell. No, I'm in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. I'm a co-founder of the Universal Foundation for Holistic Design. So there's a real great coordination with what you're doing and what we're trying to do. And so we're very new as well. We're only like 4 years old, 3 years old. But we are working on a project of bringing cacao into the reality. And so I'm also a spiritual teacher, shamanic teacher, Reiki teacher, practitioner. And so we've been doing all kinds of different ceremonies. And I also have my own business that I work through that as well, doing the teachings and partly doing the ceremonies. So I'm here today to I'm really curious what this new design you've come up with. I think it's awesome. I love community, so this is really great. Community is my thing in whatever form it is. So really glad to be here today. I unfortunately have to leave at 10 to 2, so I'll have to miss a bit of it, but I think I'll get a good idea as you go along as to what you're speaking about or sharing. So I'm really, really stoked to be here. Thank you so much for the invite. And I will pass it on to Brian.
I have no idea what I do. Is that a joke? No, I'm kidding. I am involved in so many different things right now. I asked myself, Brian, what were you thinking? And then I asked myself again, oh yeah, you know what you were thinking. You're really trying to help people. I'm a core part of something called D Studio. I got my amazing compadre on here, Kimberly Marsh. I'm not quite as core as I want to be right now. I'm actually on assignment at a place called Heartland Collective, which some of you might be familiar with. It was one of the groups in Regen Civics. I am here technically as the creative technology evangelist. And what does that mean? I've worked in technology so long, I'm older than dirt. Well, no, I'm just kidding about that. I've worked in technology for quite a bit, but creative expression is, I think, more important. So honestly, I think the emerging technologies are very important, but we can't lose value of the past and what our elders have taught us. So art is a really huge part of that. So I feel that the combination of both art and technology is important. And so this is why I kind of call myself a creative technology evangelist for Heartland Collective. So there's definitely a bunch of things we're working on here. And of those of you who are not familiar with Heartland Collective, we're a 25-acre off-grid, sustainable, and regenerative, I can't even speak, micro community. And the idea here is to help design the model of what that would look like globally, so the whole entire world could live like this. And part of that idea is to actually create an open source model that we can share. Also, if someone needs assistance from us, we can help them through some kind of collaboration and or build it through any kind of means if they help pay for it. But really what it is we're really trying to help through the Buckminster Fuller Design Science Decade. And those of you who are not familiar with that, it was basically a 10-year plan put together by Buckminster Fuller to bring people like us together to help change the world. It's where I actually met the founder of Heartland Collective, Anders Gustafsson, as a collaborator now. And I'm on site here trying to help him figure out how to spread this to the rest of the world so we can all be happy.
Thank you.
And I am going to pass it to the amazing woman who invited me to this. Thank you, Natalie.
Right on, thank you. So yeah, standing here, I'm, well, first of all, I'm calling from also Alberta, Canada, the Central Plains, originally Blackfoot territory and on the Red Deer River watershed. And I have threads to many individuals here from the UFHD, the HSC, Seeds, the Huddle, D Studios, I know a little bit, the Water Unity that's showing up as well. And so yeah, thank you all for joining. And I've been on this learning process with all of you, and here today with Rob to kind of continue moving this this concept forward of how do we create collaboration online and inspire inspiration opposed to demanding. And I feel like part of my calling is working with bringing forth the emergence of the new human. And some of those collaborative pieces are key to like our own understanding and well-being, and the well-being of the planet that we're so intimately connected with. So yeah, this is a stepping block in that, a part of the learning process. And yeah, I'll pass it to Dory because I don't know you. Welcome.
You're muted. You're muted. Well, I'll have to reveal who's your mom. You're muted. We can't hear you.
Dory, turn on the mic. Turn on the mic.
You need to unmute. I revealed who Dory is. Mom, you got to unmute.
Wait. It shows you technology is not my thing. I'm the proud mother of this wonderful person, and I think all of you are terrific, and I think there's hope for the future. I'm trying to understand what Rob has been working on for over 2 years. Some of it I understand. Initially, I understood a lot of the website, and then he went into this whole other thing. And I read his letters every week, and I save them. And it's hard. I don't come from technology, as I think it was Brian. We didn't do any of this. We communicated visually by handwritten notes, face to face, eyeball to eyeball. And so, you know, at my age, I liked hearing what you had to say. I'm an interior designer by trade. I studied Buckminster Fuller and all the early modernists, and I did design for 25 years residentially, and that's what I know. So thank you for being with Rob, for participating in his ideas, and I hope you know more and understand more than I do, but I'm trying to support him in every way I can. And I'm just, Rob's always been an old soul, and he's always been multifaceted, and he's a wonderful, wonderful person. So thank you all. It's a pleasure to see your faces post-COVID. We did a lot of this during COVID, and it was always a very warm experience to communicate with faces, even though we don't know the people. I'm in Atlanta. I've been here 6 years from Phoenix, where I lived 65 years. And Rob was born in Phoenix. My other son was born in Phoenix. So we're desert people. We appreciate the land, we appreciate the beauty, and we appreciate nature. And I hope you'll all have an important part in being successful and honorable in the future with whatever you come up with, whatever you do.
Thank you, Mom. Who's next?
Oh, I have to yield to someone. Okay. Let me see. Kimberly? Was Kimberly? Oh, Kimberly, was she on yet?
Kimberly, he has not been on yet. Kimberly, are you with us? Kimberly Burton?
This other name I can't pronounce.
That's all right. We'll go with Kimberly.
Oh,
hello,
there.
everyone.
Okay.
I'm in Johor Bahru at the moment in Malaysia, and I'm here working on my non-profit, Green Cultural Travel Hub Limited, and a new thing called the Guild of Life, which is looking to bring some non-profits into alignment to address global poverty in a regenerative way. So, and come to listen to what Rob and Natalie and others have woven together. So thanks for having me. And I'll pass it to the other Kimberly.
Thank you, Kimberly. I am here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I work with D Studio, and I have my own small PR agency here. D Studio and Borrowed Lands Productions is another offshoot of that we are using as a vehicle to tell stories, and are really hoping to tell more stories about the regenerative land-based projects that are going on around the world. We've visited different communities and different people who we have known through Seeds in Haifa, and seen the projects that they're doing, and they're part of the story, along with others who also tell the story from an indigenous point of view as well. I'm also involved in many other things, but that's, Better Worlds. If you don't know betterworlds.com, also we do shows, podcasts, talking about Web3 technology and the impact that it can have to create more regenerative, more better communities. I don't know who hasn't been, Elizabeth.
Hello, yeah, I'm glad to go. It's wonderful to be here, see a few familiar faces and many people I've not become acquainted with. I'm really happy to be here to stretch my horizons. I'm just upstream of Bryan in the South Yuba River watershed and the ancestral homes of the Nisenan people. And I am working on a project called the Water Unity Network, which is serving as a social aggregator to support water protectors and water regenerators in terms of being able to activate our communities to revive our watersheds and restore balance to the source of life. I feel that water restoration is one very accessible, accessible solution that communities can do. And it is in itself, in the very act of it, it is community building without a whole lot of dogma. It's just very practical. And I'm looking for those practical solutions that we can implement as quickly as possible in the little time that we have, this window of opportunity to turn the tipping point towards abundant, thriving life. I'm also a video editor, a media professional by trade. I'm currently caring for my mother in our property up here, looking to see how we could link up with Heartland Collective and start creating a string of pearls of regeneration that allows us to really connect ourselves in a meaningful way. So I look forward to learning more about what you're all working on here. So much appreciated for the invitation, Natalie.
Thank you, Liza. Yeah, who's next? We have Joachim and Alex and Adrian and Justin and Biarawanga, who have not gone.
I'll throw it to Justin. How's that?
All right.
And Crispus, I think.
Trying to Google what my watershed was. Everyone knows about theirs. I have no idea what my watershed is, but now I want to figure out. So it was a little bit too complicated for this moment, but I'm gonna try. Yeah, my name is Justin Joseph Taylor. I am currently in Irmo, South Carolina, just outside of Columbus. So anyone who wants to find that out for me is helpful. Yeah, I met Rob a few weeks ago. Got to hang out with Newman a little bit and know a lot of people on this call, actually. So some new faces, but many familiar faces from working in Seeds and with Samara, where we have kind of focused on exploring new ways of working in decentralized environments that focus on the human and spiritual capacity necessary to be able to coordinate from places of trust and compassion and care, wellness and well-being. Currently, I am hosting a 6-month or 13 moon evolutionary learning journey called Humans Being Humans at Work. which is where 7 of us are kind of exploring our own individual learning questions and looking at how we can find new ways of collaborating in this kind of Web3 environment that supports the true human aspects of, well, supports our humanity and supports us in finding right ways to bring that into the work that we do in the world. And that's kind of me. I'll kick it to Joachim.
Thank you. Thank you, Justin. Yeah, I have fond memories of Samara days. Yeah, my name is Joachim Stroh. If you have a name like that, you're always at the very end because nobody can pronounce it, but that's okay. I love different versions of that. Like Natalie, I'm deeply interwoven with a lot of you guys here. Just a couple of weeks ago, I met with Basil in New York City for the Climate Week event. So he stuck me into some of the panels there. That was great. I'm with Haifa, so I'm a co-founder and engaged in sort of, call it the DAO adoption. So what is next for the DAO, right? How can we bring that to the mainstream audience? How can people understand what this technology is about and what it does change, you know, what it enables? From there, you know, inviting all of you, all of the parties, all of the communities, villages out there to experience what it really is. Let me keep it short, handing it over to, let me see, Adrian, did you get to talk?
Thank you. Yeah, this is my first time engaging with this community. I was invited by Justin and Rob, so thank you. I'm in Boston, Massachusetts, and I'm a cooperative organizer, so I help start up and develop different cooperatives nationally. My focus is on democratic governance, decision-making, team building, communication. And then my other hat is I'm a contemplative instructor. I study in the Nyingma Buddhist lineage, and so I do some workshops, and I have a community there, actually based in Berkeley, California. I know some of y'all are in California. And I guess I recently became an independent contractor, and that was to kind of find my passion, find my way. And that's kind of blending the contemplative practices with the structures for democratic governance and like how they can speak to each other and support each other. So that's what I'm kind of going towards now. So this group seemed like a good way to plug into certain things. So that's me. And I will pass it over to...
You have Alex or Crispus?
Okay, I'll do Crispus.
Yes, hello. I hope I'm audible enough.
Yeah, we can hear you and see you. Yep. Hi, Biarawanga.
Yeah, my name is Biarawanga Crispus. I'm from Uganda. I'm Mubende. So my background is in, I have a dual degree with business administration in international business, which I did in Oxford Brookes, England, and Malaysia. So when I came back to Africa, through my work with an online payment platform, I realized there was something wrong, and there was something that needed to be changed within the system. So I founded an NGO, which is a grassroots movement. It's called Monansi Green Initiative. Like the word Monansi literally means a global citizen, somebody who wants to understand the global problems and also come up with local solutions to global solutions, to global problems. So through my pursuit of this, I've been trying to train myself with different programs, and that's why I've been kind of away and trying to look for more knowledge and more networking. So how did I come to know about the HSC cooperative, the holistic systems? Through my networking and all that, I met somebody who introduced me to Seeds. Then through Seeds, I got connected to Haifa. And this is how I specifically got connected to Rob. And Rob shares a vision that I really have for Africa and for the world. But most of the people here in Africa don't really understand this kind of systems. So this is my way of being here for my community so that I can share with like minds and get this knowledge and then transform it to something that's tangible for my community. So I've been away for some few months, doing some different programs at different universities here in Africa. So it's good to be back here. I think for today, I'll be just listening in more, then I'll catch up and then put in my input. But most of my work is in sales, marketing, and then through my NGO, which is transitioning to be a social enterprise so that it can be self-sustainable. It's good to be here. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, you could pass to Alex, or we could just say Alex.
Yeah, I'm last, I think. Yes, I am in Amsterdam, and I've been involved in IFA and seeds for the last 5 years. So it has been quite a journey, and we have recently released a beta version of the IFA DAO product. So yeah, it's a huge achievement for us, and it's really time now to expand and to let all the groups, like yours, to try it out and to expand the vision. So I'm really pleased to be here. We've been discussing with Rob for months, I think, now, since the first setup of the HSC DAO. And I must say that I've always been really passionate about seeing the progress, throughout the months, and I think that's one of the most promising DAOs that I can see. So that's why I wanted to support today, and I think it's really touching the art of what we are trying to create, right, all together, which is connections and expertise and facilitation. To see a lot of other projects emerging. So I think all these services that you will deliver will be really, really beneficial for the network, but also beyond the network. So I'm really wishing you all the best and here to support. Let's stop there. Back to you, Rob.
Thank you. Thank you, Alex. And thank you, everybody. It's amazingly inspiring for me to just hear from everybody, and for the folks who are here, and for everyone to show up is really I feel honored that everybody would come, and and to just to say, I feel to Alex and Joachim, thank you for coming. I just have a lot of admiration, for what you've created and put together. And so, just to be involved in that and to have you here, feels special. And to have everybody here feels special. But I've been sort of, working in a lot of, a lot of sort of what has come into here as far as the design, for me, a lot of that learning has come from HIFA and from seeds and from those who have kind of created that and allowed that to just be there for folks. And of course Justin is part of that as well, and Natalie. So all right, well, let's jump in. So like I said, it's meant to be an interactive presentation today. So in the chat I put the link for the Miro board. You can sign in, but you do not have to be signed in. And I'm going to share my screen now, and we can just jump into it. Let me see. All right, so here we are. I assume everyone can see it. I'll go to, great. I'll present this here. And if there's any, issues, then just, sort of feel free to share. All right, so yeah, really this is about, the member portal that's here. And oh, here's Basil. It's about, the member portal that, is being co-created. As far as this presentation, right, just interact and have fun. There's a lot of things, I'll zoom out really far. You can see there's a lot of places for us to be contributing, and, you can put that in with sticky notes. And so there's no need for you to just stay where I am. If you feel inspired, you can jump around. And, and of course, everybody, feel free to, when you need to leave, you get it. All right, so we're going to jump in. My intention is for me to speak, as least amount as I can, because there's so many people here with such great ideas, that I think that's really the opportunity. So what is holistic systems? Like I've been saying, so it's an idea and it's a platform. I don't think that, the idea is certainly not mine. It's really just about like, how can a group of people come together and share resources and share value in a way that is a collaborative model. The idea is that if we can do that, that creates like magic, that creates synergy. And we can take the same amount of resources that we have and alchemize that into something that is beneficial for everybody and more than we could do, each of us separately. So it's a platform for that, and it's also designed to be, with the idea of like, how can we support ourselves in the here and now in this system that we're in, and thrive while also, working to change the system that we're in. So I know that, so I thought it might be fun to just like visually illustrate the idea really quickly. This is nothing, new that you all don't know, but I just like want to share. So, this is, like a neighborhood, right? And you have 20 houses with 20 lawns. And so then you have 20 lawnmowers. And it's not really, an efficient use of resources. And even if, some people, whatever, hire, lawn care professionals, one person doesn't have a lawn, everybody's still in their own silos, and so if we're trying to get away from an extractive model, this is not, a great model to have. So, and I think that leads right into, us, as freelancers, independent contractors, entrepreneurs, impact, organizations that might not have a lot of funding. Each of us is, sort of essentially, we want to put up our own shingle, and we're in our own silo. And so, right. So if we say, okay, well, now I'm gonna, be a video editor. We're in our silo, and then everybody has to sort of get all of the resources they need for that business or that venture on their own, right? So like one example, Newman's talked about this a lot, so I used it, is Canva. Okay, so I need to use graphic designs. All right, so then we can bring this person says, all right, well, I'm gonna, go into the marketplace. So we bring the person over here, edge them into the marketplace, and this is what it looks like. This is our current landscape. And then if we see, it's like, oh, that's a lot of, just like the lawnmowers, it's a lot of people that need to have Canva on their own, and maybe some of them don't need to use it that much. But we start with Canva, but there's also, to have a business, if this is our person here, they need to have resources. They need to understand how to run a business. They need to have an accounting template. They need to have a website. They need to know how to do marketing, or maybe have templates for that. They need to know how to stay sane, and they need, they could use a community. That would be nice. They need time, right? So, but then the idea is that then every one of these people has to have all these things on their own, and it's an opportunity to, for everybody has to learn on their own, makes mistakes on their own. So if we take, this person here with all their stuff, and we move them over to what is this is the idea, right? This is like the different model that we're talking about. And, it can look a lot of different ways, but, as we see, if we take the Canva example here, right, not everybody needs to have their own Canva account. So you can share. So maybe you have 6 people here, sharing one Canva account. And, again, this is not that we don't want to support Canva, but it's really about like, the different model. And then we can take all of these things like you see, and we can put them here in the middle. So one person who's an accountant can create this like template, and then everybody can share it. Right. And it goes around and around. So that's really the idea of what we're talking about here. It's rather than competition, collaboration, because in this model, like it or not, we're competing. Like literally, I am in competition with everybody on this call. Systemically, I'm in competition with you to meet my basic needs. And I don't like that. And then of course, we get to something, and this is, something having, we could think about with, an ecosystem like Haifa, just to pop it in here, like, oh, this is a possible future. We have, one organization or one DAO here, and then you create this massive network effect. So that's kind of the illustration. I'm going to jump into, so this was what was here before. So practically speaking, if you say, what is holistic systems? At this point, rather, I think that our first try was to, I'm just looking at the chat, make sure, and Newman's going to be monitoring the chat as well. Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah. So anyways, so like holistic systems, I think when we first launched it was really about like bringing people together, in this kind of services agency, for the good. And I think what we saw was that it was hard to do that without like the foundation. I think that's where really the focus has come in, is like basically independent contractors, freelancers, entrepreneurs, small businesses. The foundation, bringing the people together first, and then if that works, then like working teams that can like go out and service clients as a group, that can happen, I think, naturally. So practically speaking, yeah, it's like a professional networking group, professional development, and cross collaboration platform, while also being like a movement for social change. So way you could think about it is like, okay, it's like if everybody on Fiverr actually worked together rather than competing against each other. Competing against each other in this, what Zoe likes to call a race to the bottom on Fiverr. So, what if everybody worked together and actually co-owned the platform? It's like a union for gig workers. And you can read these other things. So who's it for? Right. Like I keep saying, I think it's for anyone, right? The idea is that this model should work for any organization if it works. But, in order to sort of niche down right now, we're saying, freelancers, independent contractors, gig workers, a lot of, not necessarily, but a lot of people who are working in the digital realm. So I think that the first question, or rather to like sort of tell what the challenges are, is really like, I'd love to just hear from everybody. And I think as we go along, we can use sticky notes. We can, kind of just shout things out. You can put things into the chat, and then, Newman or myself will translate them into sticky notes. Yeah, exactly, like Newman just said. So I have a lot of, like, as I've been thinking about this for a long time, right? I have a lot of ideas as far as like, what are the challenges? But I don't have all of them. So I'd love to just hear what folks, what folks have to say about that. I'm gonna put in some of mine as well. Let's see. Thank you for everybody for knowing how to use these stickies.
Are we putting it directly on the board, or are we pasting it in the chat?
You can do either. If you're comfortable putting it right in the board, then that's probably the simplest way. But if you'd rather put it in the chat, then folks will translate for you.
So go ahead. I'm just curious to ask the question as to what arena do you see this platform specifically working in? There's a lot of ways we can impact social change, And I'm seeing that this is very delineated in purpose, and would like to hear from you, Rob, or anyone else that knows, if you could articulate really what you're looking to, what pond you're wanting to swim in.
Yeah. Yeah, I can let others answer that. I mean, I think my answer would be, at first, my answer is that the first pond I need to swim in is like, and be able to swim in is my pond. Meaning, like, I have a hard time, I find that if I'm kind of running around a lot, just trying to, like, survive and make ends meet, then I have a lot less energy and effort to actually put towards, like social movements and systemic change and working on projects. And so I think it's a way, where it's like, how can I, just help stabilize, like, myself? In order for me to then be able to, help and learn in the ways that I want to. And so then, the idea is, well, okay, can I help? Can I do that in conjunction with other people? Right.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's a great answer.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Brian.
Yeah, one of the things that come into my mind right off the bat is we're a group of people all doing very similar things, yet we all try to reinvent the wheel, and just access to our methods. And I put a little note on the board about access to open source tools, but there's also a link that I put in the chat about availability to get free use of things like Elementor and other WordPress plugins through a movement that is creating the availability for that and for free. So it's just about sharing the things that we do with each other, and kind of like maybe making ourselves available for any kind of like sessions to actually help people use these tools, or maybe just a list of tools that are available, either free or cheap, or like with this other group that does the WordPress plugin. So maybe just how do we all get access to these things? And if they're not available, how do we reach out and get access to them?
Yeah, thank you, Brian. Yeah, that's go ahead.
Yeah, both of those really I can definitely relate to. The project that I'm working on is a very big vision. It basically encompasses every watershed on the planet. But in managing my own expectations, it's been challenging to get people to truly participate in it and sort of buy in and be able to sort of pick up the vision and create something from it, right? And so in managing my own expectations, I'm recognizing that if I could just create this for myself to help me manage, like Brian said, he's involved in so many things. I looked at my list of the things I'm involved with and it's like, are you crazy? Like, how do you think you could? And yet, if I could weave those all together in a fabric that is actually supporting and benefiting all these great causes, then I will feel, even if that's all it is, I will feel like I've done something. So I appreciate sort of that internal relationship to what you're creating, and hoping that people will see the value in it and be willing to commit some time and energy and their own vision and co-creative powers to it. So I get what you're saying, and the whole thing about not recreating the wheel, that's very much attractive to me, and that there are so many people doing so many amazing things that really I see it's almost our evolutionary imperative to be able to get into a radical collaboration that allows us to really be efficient and effective with what we're doing.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And I think that's I really appreciate that. I mean, that's beautifully said. And I think, that's the challenge. And sorry, I want to something. Something happened to the.
Let me see if I can. Let me see if I can.
Newman. Yeah, you can. You can do that, right? I have a hard time. I can't. Let me see. I can't. What's that thing? I can't multitask. You see, that's a demonstration of my ability to multitask. So I'll let Newman fix that. But anyways,
add it to the chart.
Yeah, multitask. I think maybe Adrian
on
has
my
something.
own. Yeah, and so so I think that let me while we take a look at this, Biarawanga, yeah, please. You had something to share.
Yeah, I was just trying to add on what the radical actions when I don't know whether I got the name right. Karel, is it right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, she mentioned something about radical actions, and I'm a person who is all about. I think at this point, radical action is the best way to go. So it kind of sparks my mind when you see most of the time when you're working in these conventional organizations, you have all these good ideas and all these good ways all of how to work for the community or the kind of change that you want to see in society, but you can't implement that change because sometimes they think it's not making profits, or they don't know how to make profits from your kind of strategies, and they are not giving you the opportunity or the chance to come and then showcase or explain how you can have all these new ideas and then still have all these kind of profits still coming in a conventional organization. So it kind of sparks my mind, so that these are the kind of challenges that we have when we are working in this kind of way. So one of my biggest desires, or in my community that I work with, we are doing empowering communities through all these different ways, and looking at how we can empower communities through different activities like seeds, which are really so autonomous and creating independence for this kind of people, and also like rewarding them for their kind of good actions. So the bad guy is getting rewarded. So I'm in the green sector. My organization is all about environmental activities using nature-based solutions. So in this kind of environment that we are in, the bad guy who is doing the fossil fuels and all that, they're getting rewarded. But somebody who is doing the good thing, the person is planting the trees, the person is going green, the person who is doing nature-based solutions like working with beekeeping, this person is not being looked at, and these people need the support. So when ideas like this come up, this is the way that we can help out each other. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Biarawanga. Yeah, I appreciate that. Absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of great ideas on here. Yeah, Brian, please.
This is more of a shameless outburst. I need the Crispus Biarawanga. I need to connect with you. So I sent you a message. I'm working on something directly with Ghana and agricultural education with the universities that I'm going to have a conversation with this week with the agricultural minister. So if we could connect, that'd be fantastic. I'd love to talk if you have a moment.
I will shamelessly jump on that shameless and say that I would love to be part of that conversation.
Eliza, I have a shameless also outreach to you about the Nisanan folks. I'm also talking with someone else, so let's all get on the call.
Let's all be shameless together. Shameless co-conspirators.
Yeah, shameless conspirators. I like that. Yeah, there's a place next for that. So so I want to thank you for everybody for contributing. This is great, and I'm going to send this to everyone, so that way we have it to look at again if we want, because there's so much here, right? Right, like I see, like developing trust. I mean, this like reinculturation, that's a big picture aspect, but reinculturation is for humans to work, collaboratively, right? That reinvention of the wheel is something that like personally and professionally just like bothers me, like so there's so much here. Thank you all. I would read through all of them, but I feel like, yeah, we can pop over to the next one because there's a lot of great ideas coming in. So, oh yeah, right. I created this this bonus question. I think while we move on to the next one, if anybody, these are just two questions that I find kind of fascinating. So if anyone wants to answer these questions while we move on to the next area, go ahead. But these, I don't know, it's a little bit like when I ask people, how are you supporting yourself now? It's an interesting question. And sometimes it's kind of meant to be like a little bit like, you're not supposed to ask people that. But I think that's like such a key question, you know, in here. It's like, how are we supporting ourselves? I think because a lot of times, you know, we're meeting people in, you know, in realms of like the projects that we're doing, you know, for social change. But like while we're all doing those projects, we have to be supporting ourselves as well. We may be doing that within those projects, but a lot of times that's not the same. And so, you know, it's an interesting question for me. And then there's a little fun activity, and you can choose, you know, how satisfied, you know, you are, and put your little thing, you know, somewhere on the spectrum. So yeah, you know, like we said, everybody can go around the board and can look at that, but I'm going to move on to you know, the next part. So we just talked about our challenges, and you know, right, holistic systems and what we've been putting together here, it's meant to be a solution, right? So it's not like what's the solution to our challenge, but you know, what is a solution? And you know, so you know, and when I ask, right, and if you know, like, is there a way to collectively kind of pool and exchange our resources? And I think that's a big key. That's like worth the effort to coordinate it, right? Because it is something that we need to, you know, coordinate as a community, at least in this model. You know, there's a model where there could be outside funding, and you know, just like in a Fiverr, you know, it could just be coordinated by a third party. There's nothing wrong with that, but right now that's not, you know, where we're at. So you know, I thought it would be right. Like I've been thinking about this a lot, but I thought it would be amazing to have, you know, other folks, you know, come and chime in with answers and write on sticky notes, especially, you know, a big piece of holistic systems and, you know, the member portal and how the member portal is set up, you know, is because we have all these challenges that we're talking about, and they're real.
When you're ready, you let me know.
But then the question is like how to coordinate really like meeting those challenges as a group, you know, because right now we sort of, you know, coordinate. Yeah, we work with other people, but we're coordinating mostly, you know, sort of in our own spheres and arenas. So how do we coordinate all this value exchange, right? This is something, of course, you know, that Haifa has been, you know, working on for a long time, you know, and in this realm, you know, we're talking about specifically like, you know, looking at like, what are the value sharing? This is something, you know, we're calling value sharing categories, right? Like, and so I think, you know, I was going to go along in the presentation and, you know, give examples for each of them, and I still can, but I think that'd be great for other people, you know, to share like how, right, you know, how do we make it worth our while? But like, this is something that's very, you know, that can be pretty tangible, you know, and I think that if we, you know, talk about this, you know, and pop in ideas, it can help give a more tangible way of thinking about what, you know, like how this can actually work, right? So I'll give some ideas, you know, to, you know, these kind of value sharing categories. Let me see. So one that I've been thinking about a lot, you know, that popped in, right? So some of them are obvious, right? Like referrals. Okay, well, if we're working together and I know you're doing, you know, good work and we're in this pod together, I can, you know, I can give you referrals to new clients, right? You know, some of them like software and tech shares, right? That's like, you know, Canva share. You know, some of it, you know, cross collaboration opportunities, right? So, you know, there's a way where, you know, like an example of that, I had a job that was coming in where I was building a website for somebody and setting up some marketing, but I'm not like a branding expert. So I brought in Nyla and she helped me with that. And so that's like a cross collaboration opportunity. There's a lot of those, you know. There's a way of like cross collaboration. There's a way where we could like, you could mentoring, you know, is one. So it's a way where, let's say that you know, that somebody comes and they have, you know, comes to me and they're a client with a low budget, and you know, it doesn't, like, I'm not able to really like do what they need to do for the rate that they have to pay me. If there's somebody you know, here, somebody in our organization or in this community that wants to learn, let's say it's whatever, set up an email marketing platform. If there's someone who wants to set up you know, who wants to learn how to do that, then, you know, I can mentor them. They can do the work for this person. This, you know, the client would have to, you know, would then be required to pay less money. But, you know, this person who wants to learn and get mentored, they're going to spend, you know, more time on it maybe than I would, but they're learning. So it's a way for that to work for everybody. So one that really came in for me as I was thinking about this is like promotion, right? So we're talking about like cross promotion. And I think that there's a way where not only can we cross promote we on each other's platforms, right? So, you know, if we take social media, right? So, you know, on Holistic Systems, you know, or on like Rob's platform, you know, I would post something, you know, hey, Haifa, you know, beta just came out. And then, you know, maybe Haifa would say, hey, you know, like Rob has this, you know, this program. And that's good. But if there's a platform called like Holistic Systems or whatever it would be, that has its own social media, that has its own email marketing, that everybody is contributing to, then that platform, you know, can get much bigger because it has lots of people contributing content to it. Hopefully I'm making sense with that. You know, there's a way where it's like kind of like you have two platforms, right? So, you know, there might be like a D Studio has its own platform, but then, you know, the folks in D Studio are then creating, you know, content about resource sharing, and then that goes on Holistic Systems platform. So it's just a way to others and HSC platform. And somebody had their hand up. So, oh, Brian, did you have something to bring in and share?
Yeah, I actually have a question on this. This entire platform we're discussing here right now, is this something that's going to be developed on Haifa? Is it DAO or?
That's a good question. And that is actually the next section, which is how does it work?
Because I had a thought. One of the interesting things that could happen is everyone has their profile on Haifa, and I'm wondering whether or not a project comes up, a description comes up, and whether or not AI can be integrated to do a search through the Haifa network, who is capable of doing things based on the value they have and the success they've had. So maybe use AI or something like that to do a search based on your project and whatever you're looking for. And it would be like a super version of like what LinkedIn is, instead of having to do too much thinking. So use maybe AI to leverage that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, Biarawanga, you had an idea.
Yes, I'm thinking about somebody, when earlier we were introducing ourselves, somebody said something about the Web 3.0, and this is a very interesting idea, and this is the future, and this is where we are going, and this is where we are at right now. So I'm thinking of how we can leverage technology, and also how we can also connect it back to the communities at the same time, and also solving different problems. Like, for example, the community where I come from, or my background where I come from, or somebody who's from the global south, specifically from Africa and specifically from Uganda, we have a problem of access to resources in most cases you find that it's not that we lack the resources, but the resources are there, but there's no way we can access them. And then sometimes there's abundance of resources, and then some resources go to waste. Like, for example, food. You find that in East Africa, in part of Eastern Africa where I come from, there is a lot of food production. Then as you go further into some areas of Northern Africa and some parts of Western Africa, there's lack of food. Yet here in Africa, where I come from, there's like right now people are dumping food. Like, so it's all about the different politics. It's all about the different access to things like resources, infrastructure, and knowledge, and all these kind of things. So I'm thinking how holistic systems, like the way the whole thing is holistic, how we can bring all these things together. So one of the biggest problems that we also still have in Africa here is the little bit of corruption. So we find that who determines that which kind of, let me say, NGO, or let me say which kind of corporation should be taking on a different project, who does who does all this kind of background check. So I think this is where holistic systems comes in and then provides this kind of services, whereby we can be this kind of pillar. We have the connections with different communities. We can verify all these different things, then tap into the different markets with the Web 3.0, where we have the carbon credit markets, and then the different ideas of how we can leverage the artificial intelligence and all that. So there's a lot of things that we can do on the ground, and also create the different market linkages. So you find that some people have the resources, but they don't know where to sell them. You understand? So for example, I'm always seeing like avocado is a big thing in the US. Like, it's totally expensive. But when you come here in my community, me personally, like right now I have like 10 avocados here in the room, and I don't take it as something that's like really important. Yet in the US, there's a lot of things that could be done. There's a lot of medicines that could be done with this. There's a lot of oil that could come from these things. So there's a lot of things that we can do and connect with each other, and then practically, and then create some kind of practical things that we need to talk the language of these corporations. We need to show them where the profits are, but still caring about the environment, and then still also connecting the right communities. Because you find that in a situation, we don't want a situation whereby somebody's like taking over the whole market, and then you find like the whole avocado market is curtailed by somebody here in Uganda and something like that. So whereby the communities do not benefit. So this kind of like autonomous, like decentralized organizations will sort out all these problems. So this is a lot of things that we can tap into, and then still, and also creating education programs and also this kind of thing. So there's a lot that we can do. And I know I'm talking a lot, and also missing out a lot, but I'm so passionate about this whole cause of like connecting global people, just making us a global village and just coming out together, because there's a lot that I see that in this world that shouldn't be the way it is. But it's just because that people with the knowledge and people with the power have just decided to curtail these things to themselves.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. No, I appreciate your passion. I appreciate, what you're sharing here, and that's, absolutely. And, and you and I have worked together. And so I really, know where that's coming from. And, and like you're saying, you're in a place, the global South, right, that is also seeing the effects, sometimes, like the tangible effects, more than, I would say in where I'm living in Western Massachusetts in the States. And so, and also, I think maybe, what I'm hearing, or what's coming in for me is like there is an urgency to this. And so I appreciate the commitment everyone has here. So let's, so let's jump in. So I just want to say, so does, or it's almost a question like, does it feel like, it's easy to, it felt like, you know, it's like very easy to sort of identify where, you know, like where our challenges are. Did it feel like it was a little more difficult to identify like the places, like the tangible places that we could share? I don't know if anyone had that experience. Yeah, Justin.
Yeah, I found it to be just a step more complex. So when the challenges, you're kind of thinking about what are my personal challenges? What am I facing as an entrepreneur, right? Or what do I see out in the world? When it came to the skill and value share, I had to understand what each skill or value was, and then try to assess myself. What do I have? And then what is its value if it is valuable? And then also, is that meaningful or valuable to share with another? And so there's like this, it's a much more complex task to not only be able to like introspect and then to name and label and then to be able to offer. I think at some level, I was just noticing that some of that challenge being there, and maybe be true for everybody, but felt kind of real for me. And also I think what I noticed too, like because each category is so vast at some level, like skill sharing as a form of value sharing is probably a lot, because it still has to ask the question, okay, what are skills? What does it mean? What is coaching a skill, or is coaching a, you know, it's its own category of thing, right? So I'm trying to also, I think there's also complexity of trying to figure out where what I do is called, and then how can I place that what I do into a category that's meaningful and valuable to the other. So again, it's just kind of complex. I don't think it's like impossible. I just think it's like a body of work in its own right. And so I kind of find myself being a lot less able to name this here than I was to name my challenges.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. That's beautiful. I really appreciate, that insight. Yeah, and I think that then, it's, you know, speaks to like how, you know, like the method for figuring out how, you know, how to facilitate this. But that was really, that was really insightful. Thank you. Eliza, you had a thought.
I do. I have a few thoughts. This is definitely awakening thoughts. What Justin just spoke to is something I've been really looking at, in that as a society, we have a very strong aversion to complexity. It seems like we're not taught how to embrace complexity. We're taught to simplify. And yet what we're seeking to do is almost the very definition of complexity, right? And so the more we can create frameworks like this and structures like this and integrate them and weave them together, the more we're managing our complexity in an intentional way that allows us to feel comfortable and find our place within it. And we don't have to take part in everything that the system has to offer. We just have to find what works for us. And the more clearly we can describe our own offering, I think this framework will be able to be both scalable and replicable across many different unique situations and environments. So I kudos to what you're, this is exciting.
Thank you so much. Those were, I really appreciate, Justin and Eliza, what you had to say there. That's really insightful. So I think that, and that's great. That really, you know, kind of wants to move us on to the next question, you know, and really, which is like, how can this work? I mean, I think that's the idea. How can it work? And I think this is then, you know, what I would say is that this is then maybe getting into more, I didn't plan it this way, but more like, you know, answering the questions that we're having there with that complexity, and bringing in some of holistic systems, you know, and this platform, bringing in some of our ideas. And so, so really it's like, okay, well, how do we make this work then? You know, I'm just going to touch on a few of these. And then while I'm doing that, right, of course, we can, you know, if anybody wants to jump in and bring in ideas of how can we actually facilitate it. to me, co-created and co-facilitated, right? And we're just talking about this decentralized way, this member coordinated way, and again, this is something, right? I don't know that it's required for an organization to be a DAO in order to facilitate this, but there has been a lot of work, that's done in these new, DAO-like structures, or these new self-organizational structures. And I think if there's a way, to make it work, for people to coordinate in that way, and again, there's tools that are being created to help do that. I think that it helps it grow. The ability for it to grow more and to, even if it starts slower, to last longer is in potential there. And I'm not even the best person to speak to all that. This is a big point. This is something that we've been discussing a lot, right? Which is the monthly membership investment. It could call it a fee. It doesn't actually feel like a fee to me, because a fee feels like this transactional thing where I'm paying you to do, to do something or provide something for me. Nothing wrong with that. But, it feels like an investment because if the organization is co-facilitated, then essentially we're just paying the money back to ourselves. So the things that this fee does, it does a few things. Is it puts money into the resource pool. We're trying to create a resource pool, and fiat money is a good thing to have in there. And then the second thing is it allows, it creates a way where the people who are there are really want to be there and are going to be participating, rather than just having like a large group of, 400 people and, only 10% of them really do anything. I don't think that that's as sort of rich of a soil, a nurturing ground for this. So that's the idea of like, hey, let's everybody put in $10, $15, $20 a month, whatever we decide. But then that's just getting circulated around the group. Right. Okay. So, exploring like value sharing methods. Okay. Like we've been talking about HIFA. There's another one called Coordinate, which is very interesting. How does it work? This is something that folks have been, has been popping in. Folks have been sharing with me as far as like, there is this way where I, like a lot of times I think in this grand vision, of like hundreds, thousands of people, this big ecosystem, which I think is true, but there's a way where it might start, like folks have been talking about, like, sizes, like having a pod, right? Having a pod of 6 or 7 people, and those people, really working out maybe some of those details that we're talking about. Like, how do I share with 7 people? If you find the right 7 people, then maybe that can help facilitate it, right? And then you get into like a larger community. I don't know. This is just a number I think that I heard on one of the seeds meetings. 144. But this idea of like, when a pod gets bigger than a certain number, and a community gets bigger than a certain number, then it splits off. And stays within the same ecosystem, the same value exchange ecosystem, but you keep things small enough in a certain ways that it's manageable, right? And I think I don't have to reiterate this. I think everybody knows that there's system change going on in the way we're doing that. So yes, I want to jump down here and see kind of like how this could work. I see it's also right. The time we're an hour and 15 in. I do want to like go over a little bit of the actual member portal, but I don't think that's even the most important part here. And then of course we can all chime in. This is the last piece really here is to kind of, before the actual member portal itself, is to chime in. What are the challenges? What are the roadblocks? What are ways I think it can work? What are ways where it might not where there'd be challenges for it working. So before, why don't we take 5 or 7 minutes here and have us, say verbally or on sticky notes or write out, some of the ways that it can work and some of the challenges. I'd love it if folks would like to share there. Yeah, Brian.
One of the interesting challenges I have with all these projects is very simple. Right now, I have no job and I'm on food stamps. So is there other things that people can offer other than a membership fee? And is there a way to pay it forward? When I was living in Oakland, my neighbor was part of a group called Homobile. It's kind of funny. He's part of the transgender community, and Homobile was a way of the transgender community getting safe cab rides without being assaulted. Because in San Francisco, it's very difficult. You go into a car that, they had a lot of trouble. And what their model did was if someone was able to pay more, they would, which would offset and pay it forward to someone who couldn't afford it. So I'm wondering whether or not people who want to be members of something like this, if their superpower is they have money, maybe they can actually have a higher membership to help offset other people who are doing sweat equity and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's something, right, I wrote in this email for yesterday, which is, that I think that there's a couple, like real solutions, and actually it feels sort of simple in a sense to me, solutions for that. One is that certain people are going to come in with different resources. People are going to have more time, and then some people are going to have more money, right? And, and on that spectrum. So if this is a self-managed organization, then, we are essentially paying ourselves to organize it and run it and coordinate it, right? So if I have more time than money, then really all I need to do is to, be helping coordinate it, and take on projects and take on quests, whether that's, hey, I'm going to help with, member communication and organization, or, hey, we need to develop this way to, have value exchange, or we need to learn how to use, the HIFA platform or something. Right. So, we have to be organizing it. And so it's like, okay, well, if I pay $15 a month or $10 a month, and then I'm doing these quests, then I'm actually just paying myself back. And so I don't know. I mean, Brian, how does that sound? But it seems fairly simple to me. And then if somebody's like, hey, I don't really have time to organize this, then I'm going to put in money, but I'm not really going to get that money back. I'm going to get other things back. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. I actually just had another thought. I have a really close friend of mine who started something called Starwire. And Starwire is a crowdfunding platform for creatives, including movies and music. Based in cryptocurrency, so it's on the blockchain. And they have something called the GOATS DAO, and the GOATS DAO is a bunch of NFTs that they created, and anyone who buys one of these NFTs becomes part of that DAO. And the idea is it created a liquidity pool to anyone who's got a music project or a film project. The DAO would vote on whether or not the project would happen, and if the DAO voted yes, the liquidity pool would actually fund the project. And in the end, then 10% of profit would go back to the DAO or go back to Starwire. And I'm wondering whether or not if there could be some kind of some kind of process like that with this, where maybe some investment leads to the development of NFTs, where those NFTs can actually go as use of pay to someone or support someone. Because what they do in Starwire and the GOATS DAO is sometimes if there's no like fiat liquidity, what they'll do is they'll give someone a goat, just basically as a saying, here's your pay, and you can sell it if you want, or you can be part of the community as an incentive.
Very cool. Yeah, thank you. And that reminds me of something, right? That's, this other way that, that value can be shared, right? Is that, like in this group, already in this meeting, we've talked about lots and lots of different projects, and I'm like, oh, that's a good one. Oh, I want to get involved there. It's hard. I can only do so much. And so I think, what Brian's talking about is a way where people bring projects, and and there's a way where it's like, okay, it seems like what that one is doing is relevant to me, you know, or relevant to the group. And then I can get together with Brian and I can, you know, pursue that, you know, rather than having to like figure it all out, you know, like myself, you know, or I can see, oh, okay, well, this project is coming in, but that's not, you know, something that I need to pursue now. So, yeah, well, let's just go to the, let me just look, you know, before we, oh, good, Newman has the timer, thank you. I just want to take a look at, you know, some of these ways where it can work, because, you know, and I think, honestly, in the end, you know, the way that it would work, or the way it will work, is if there are, is if there's a group of people who feel like they're getting enough value from it in order to continue to, you know, contribute and spend their time and or money, you know, in it. And so I think that's really that's the key, you know, is how can we do it in a way that's really gonna up level and boost what it is that I'm doing. Time bank sees reciprocity. DAO allows for all forms of contributions, fiat, resources, skills. All forms can be acknowledged. Exactly. Watershed Wisdom Council concept is modeled on the seven-sided geometry. The chestahedron is a good representative. Oh, these pods, interesting. It's great to go over all of this. Right, there's some interesting information here. Whoa, okay. Onboarding have some community agreed studies, like anti-racist and collective decision making. Yeah, beautiful. What pool? My pool. Becoming aware of one's pool is key. Yeah. All right. Well, becoming aware of one's pool is key. Let's jump into the member portal. Yeah. And while I'm doing that, Justin, yeah, you had something to share. Oh, I saw your hand up, Justin?
Yeah, I think one thing I want to raise is like, maybe it's like one of the challenges, but also something that's probably important is like, I think in Web3, but also in kind of DAOs, you have a high level of turnover. So a lot of people find a lot of inspiration from the information and thought process that are happening, but it's very hard to actually retain people over time to actually become meaningful contributors, or to, you know, so you need like a really good structure for a lot of people to offer their gifts in the ways they can and the time they have, but also kind of really strong, what Joachim would call boundary objects that actually allow for you to keep and maintain a certain momentum in business building. So you have an openness, but also you have a boundary where you're not constantly having to restart or reinvent every time someone new comes in with a new idea. But you're able to receive them in the right ways while still being able to build momentum forward. So like, I really appreciate, Rob, how you use the word we oftentimes, because it kind of makes us all be a part of what's happening, which I think is very accurate. But also some level, you know, what's a different perspective also is that, you know, maybe you, Newman, maybe you, Newman, Natalie, have been holding a certain level of responsibility and accountability to driving this thing forward. So although we're offering our perspectives, maybe our wants, what we could like, until we start cross a certain threshold, right? There should, you know, the we is you all and it's us. And, you know, but it's an important kind of differentiator to I think to always hold who is here in what ways, and what can we count on them for over how long, and making sure that those things are kind of clear, because that's what's going to kind of, in addition to like membership fees and that kind of stuff, I think that's how these kind of things can really work.
Yeah, thank you. And that's something, right, that I've been thinking about, you know, I'm popping that over here, you know, how is like, you know, as a challenge, right, is that, you know, if whoever the core contributors might be, you know, at that time, but let's, you know, call myself, you know, the sort of lead core contributor at this point. Yeah, the we who are here, you know, and this is coming up. It's like, I only have a certain amount of time, you know, to, at this point, you know, to bring to the project. And so, you know, if I don't have enough to really like keep it all going until it gets like really up and running, you know, then does it even get off the ground? So that's a question. Yeah, Liza.
Yeah, so what I see happening is, what I would love to see happening is a sort of network of platforms that, you know, maybe there's sort of graduated membership that you can belong to one platform, or you could join the entire ecosystem. You know, because I think that we all have a lot to offer in terms of organizational design, but it may not all be what everybody needs.
Yeah.
And could we design a you know, and that the platforms themselves are sort of partners, you know, in this ecosystem that allows for cross-pollination and you know, like just the offers and the contributions. Like on my platform, I've recognized the need for it, but I don't necessarily want to do it. Whereas everybody else, like not everybody on here may want to be focusing on watershed regeneration, but we want to be, if you do find that you have a need for that in your own watershed, then you want to be able to come to my site to learn, you know, to find the tools and the experts and the templates and the curriculum, and then if you see kind of where I'm going with that.
I do. Yeah, I love that. And it's almost like, you know, rather than thinking, you know, and maybe this is, you know, an adjustment in the language or the, you know, rather than thinking in just like, you know, independent contractors or entrepreneurs as like the single, you know, right, it is like an entity. You know, if we think about each, whether it's a single person or whether it's a group or organization, think about each one of those as an entity, you know, that can share, then yeah, that I think that sort of opens up the space more. And I really like that, right? Because, right, you have Watershed Council and yeah, you have certain templates, you have certain things that you can contribute and certain things that you need, right? So if you come in as an entity, right, then it doesn't necessarily have to be just Eliza coming in.
Right.
Yeah.
And so
great.
Looking at the diagram, like the rainbow diagram that I put up, you'll see that there are 12 sectors of society. And, you know, each one of them could be its own platform or its own delineation somehow that are actually beginning to regeneratively create the infrastructure that we need to truly have a regenerative culture. It's not just food, water, shelter, which is, you see right at the bottom.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
And that's really where I see this that you're working on could really come into weaving the guilds together in a structure.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to jump into and just kind of show you around the platform a little bit. Right, and that's this last question. This doesn't have to be something, it can be something for us to think about, but like what other entities are doing things like this, and is there a way where we can join in with other ones and combine our coordinated efforts. So just sort of take a little bit of a look around the actual platform itself. So it's simple. I made a video on this that that folks can watch, and you can always go to the the homepage, and it's on there. And so I'm going to go through this a little bit quicker, and really just point out a couple things, right? So you have the member directory, and then you have that what I really kind of want to point out is the heart of it, which is this needs and offerings and the value exchange, the contribution log, right? So the needs and offerings, you can view these, in different ways, by these kind of share categories. I think there's something interesting where the exercise that we were doing, you know, in Miro around like the collaboration categories and trying to kind of think about what those are. You know, there is a way where I actually think it's you know, Justin kind of hit the nail on the head when he was saying, I have to relate it back to me. And I think that that's true, right? And so that is why, right, you know, and Justin, you know, we were talking the other, you know, had this great idea of calling it like opportunities and offerings, you know, because need can be kind of a loaded word. And I think that that's something to discuss as a group. There is a way where when I was coming in here and starting to think about these things, it was actually really helpful for me to think about like, to use the word need, and for me to get in touch with like, oh, I'm seeing, bye, Adrian, thanks. For me to get in touch with, you know, with like, really like, what do I need? What am I needing? Because I think that that's such a, you know, a core piece here. You know, if we're starting from that place, like, oh yeah, I need help, you know, I need help with coordinating this thing. I need help finding new clients. I need, you know, there was something else. I needed help with repair of a fish pillow, which actually happened, which was kind of magic, you know? And then like, oh, what are my offerings? I think that there's a way where if we're really thinking about these things, and we have a group of, you know, enough people who are putting in their offerings and putting in their needs, then that can actually, that's like the core, the spark, you know, that ignites the value exchange. So in this particular member portal, you know, we have, you know, we list them here. You can use you know, this handy dandy form, you know, in order to do that. And then that'll just show up here. And then, you know, this, right, this is temporary, you know, I mean, but this is like the contribution log. So it's a way of like tracking our value. This is the beginning of how do we exchange value? And, you know, so we say, okay, well, you know, you attended a call. Okay, that, you know, brought value into the community. So we log that, you know, you log the time and the hours. And, you know, and again, there's, you know, right now it's in this base way, but there is an idea where, you know, this is the beginning of how do we facilitate the value exchange? And when we're putting, you know, money in, where does that money go? Who earns that? Again, you know, like a Haifa tool is a way to facilitate that. You know, I like, right, this is like a knowledge base, you know, it's getting built out, but we're talking about like templates. We're talking about, you know, ways that each of us has a skill set. Each of us has things that we've researched, you know, and this is you know, a way to share that with each other. And there was, oh yeah, and then the, you know, the last piece that I want to highlight here, you know, is like kind of the quests, you know, is the coordination. Right, so these, you know, these are very tangible pieces. They're tangible projects that need to be done in order to, you know, facilitate what's happening. And so, you know, there's a way where, you know, again, in this kind of like model, you know, that I learned from you know, Seeds and Haifa and Holacracy and you know, all of that, where, you know, a person sees a place where the community needs value, you know, then they can bring in write a proposal for a project. And there's, you know, ways where then a person can, you know, I requested something, and so then a person can come and claim it. So, right, developing a value sharing system. You know, Newman and I did this, setting up the Discord, which actually brings me to that. So this is a way a beginning way to help facilitate that, right? So there are other ways that, you know, we know, which is, you know, Nestor is a way to facilitate this, you know, kind of like manage the circles and the projects. Notion is, I just want to say, you know, Notion I think is a starter member portal. I don't think that, you know, it's fine as long as this group is, you know, is small enough, but I think that if it grows, then it needs some a different tool. There is something called Catalyst Network. Sorry, these things are having to load. I'm not sure why they're taking so long. Okay, so here's Nestor, right? And it's a way to coordinate circles and roles. Catalyst is, this is just a platform that's being built, and it's still, I think, in alpha phase, but it's working. Oh, Eliza knows that. Yeah, and so there's ways where we can go, and and here is the Haifa platform. So and then the last piece to say, as far as like the coordination aspect of this, and the member portal, and basically the platform for how we how to facilitate it, right? Because everything we're talking about in here, it has to be facilitated somewhere, so it needs some kind of platform to facilitate all this. And this is just this is a starting place. And the last piece is the Discord. And of course you can join from from here if you're not already in the Holistic Systems channel. But this is really like the way, the active way to facilitate this. So meaning like, okay, there's a project I want to talk about. I put this in, I put it in here. Okay, I have a need. I'm wondering, or I have an offering, and it's like, hey, I want to put it together a Skillshare, class on, social media marketing. Is anybody interested? And there's a way where then when value is exchanged, we announce it here. So this is a way for a communication channel. So that's I want to stop there as far as kind of showing the member portal, and kind of recap where we've been, and then just talk about what the next steps might be. I know a bunch of people had to bolt from the meeting, which is totally fine. And I want to go back and read these. This is all very interesting. And I'm going to just leave this Miro board up and active. So everybody, you have the link. You can come and check this out, and review it at any time you like. So I think, I think, really my question is, now I'm going to kind of pop out of a screen share. And I think my question, to those who are here is, even my mom left.
That's funny.
Fair enough. She's like, all right, I've had enough of this nonsense.
I'm ready to go another 3 hours.
Yeah, to those who are here is where do we go next, and who is interested in kind of what do we think of the member platform? Is there anybody here who's like, oh yeah, I'm interested in pursuing this further, and in helping to be a part of the co-creation and coordination? That's my question. Those are my questions. And thank you for your time and attention, and for hanging in there.
I would say yes. I'm ready.
Yay. Thank you, Rob.
Welcome. Thank you, everybody.
So,
hey, Rob, do you have a quick, sorry, my headphones have died. I had to yell at someone. No, I actually didn't have to yell at someone. I was having a problem with my EBT. Hope I wasn't announcing that on here. My mic went on mute. But I have a thought, because I have been working with stuff like this since forever. And I think one of the things and challenges that comes up is everyone has brilliant ideas and they're all awesome. But how do we actually coordinate all these things to happen? And I'm just curious whether or not you would be down, anyone else would be down, just to sit there, maybe do a call, just to figure out, okay, how do we help organize all these amazing ideas, and not just yours, like all the different groups, because I can't even tell you how many different amazing brilliance has come out of our groups. Except what happens is, I don't want to say this in a bad way. I'm just going to say only the way a New York Jew could do it. It almost winds up almost being a shit show. And it's not any of our faults. It's just, how do we organize all of this? So I think I'd be curious just to maybe have a quick chat with anyone who's interested on how do we organize all these amazing projects that we want to do, including this. One thing I'm thinking of right now, and what I usually do when I'm doing something, is if I'm working on a paid project, which unfortunately I have nothing right now, but if I'm working on something that falls in line with any of the things I'm working on also that may not have any funds, I do them simultaneously because they feed off of each other. So I'm wondering whether or not anyone who is working on anything that is sort of like what their livelihood is and getting paid for it, if any of that kind of offsets to this, maybe they can actually have direct input in things with stuff that they're working on already that they're getting paid for. And then what we can do is figure out how to sort of bring this to fruition in a way where everyone is fruitful.
Can you sort of say that again, Brian? That last part. Yeah, could you say that again? Quite.
Do you mean so basically, if I was making money, which I really wish I was, but I'm not right now. But if I was making money doing a project, and if any of the things that you all were working on were in line with that project, I would be very happy to sit on calls to help ideate with something I'm directly working with. So I could do both at the same time, and there's no real effort going on there. So maybe somehow we could figure out a way of stuff that we're working on now, how it actually directly correlates to this, and put some resources directly into that, or just some way of organizing in general, which is more than just doing Zoom meetings, doing Discord channels. I have 100 Discord servers I'm on right now. There isn't even an app that incorporates all the different chats. Like, I've been looking for at least one app that I'd be able to send a message and it would send it to whatever platform it wanted to. They have one sort of now where you can send a message, but it's basically just an encompassing thing, which will send Telegram to Telegram. So I think really what happens is just too many platforms, too many conversations, because I want to be a part of this one. I mean, there's a reason I'm part of D Studio, and the reason I'm part of D Studio, it's a decentralized production studio. My whole entire career is in media production and engineering and large scale art and all of those different things. And I definitely see a way of amplifying it, but I think we need to sort of now come up with a way of focusing on how do we organize ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Justin, you had a thought.
Oh, and Liza as well.
Yeah, Justin, what were you had your hand up a little while back.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe.
I probably have some thoughts in there. I can go maybe after Liza. I'll go. It's okay.
Okay, yeah. They'll jump back in. Yeah, Liza.
So this particular chasm is really where I've been focusing my energy, because to me it is the greatest question. We all have great ideas, incredible inspiration, and how do we actually bridge that to effective, efficient implementation in the way that it needs to be done that will, give the greatest long-term impact in the shortest period of time with as little confusion and conflict and disputes as possible. Right? So that, to me, that is really the bridge that needs to be built. And the way I see it is modeling after the source of life itself, water. And that is really what that chestahedron is describing, is imagine, if you can look at it, the base is like the first person that says, I have an idea. And then it's a triangle, and then they get the 3 triangles around the side, and you get more people to come in, and then you get the kites that are the top angles, and suddenly now you have a structure that actually is the geometry of the human heart. And I can put more information later into really what this is. But small group councils, which I call circles of trust, as they start out, to me is the way that it's like, and then the cells divide, right? So you're talking about the councils or the groups of 7, the pods of 7. I've used pods as the term. And, there's a whole sort of blueprint and navigational chart as to how this begins to organically grow. And basically what I say is that if we're aligning ourselves with the nature of water, which is the most intelligent force on the planet, right? We're never going to be smarter than water. If we could, in fact, follow that design, then success is assured because nature wants us to thrive. If we can follow that really clear organic pattern, and we need some education to actually learn it, but it already exists. Like, it's already there. And what we're doing right now is saying, okay, how do we take this rainfall that's coming down and channel it into the canyon walls that will define it, right? We begin to really think of ourselves as water, and we're now defining it. And then we can take all this nutrients that are coming out of the mountains, and suddenly, woof, it goes into a delta, right? And really begins to, right? And so just changing our thinking to recognize that we already have an organizational design that works and has worked since the beginning of time, and will continue to work if we don't figure it out, right? If we as humans can't figure this, how to align with that, then I see it as our species is going to dissolve. We can't keep going the way we're going. So let's align with the source of life. Then, I mean, to me, that's how we do it, right? The question of how we do it. And it's not actually biomimicry. I just had this conversation this morning, because you don't need to mimic what you already are, right?
Love it.
You know something, Elijah?
We need to remember it.
Right.
You know something? Yeah. You know something? You're lucky I'm an artist, because I really understand what you're saying. I think we need to figure out a way of creating a plan that goes around that a lot of people will really understand, because I think when you come up with that beautiful story that you just said, and incorporate that into project planning and organization, that people will actually be motivated to do something like that. So
and their bodies will get it, right?
Yes, exactly.
Their bodies and their emotion,
it's embedded in us.
I couldn't have come to this model I came to it as an artist, not as a scientist.
Everything is art. Everything is art.
Thank you. Yeah, I have. Yeah, that's beautiful. I have things to say, but I want to hear what Justin has to say first.
Yeah, I also appreciate Eliza's kind of metaphors around organization, but also kind of literal speaking about living systems. And also I appreciate Brian's transparency about kind of financial well-being and the need for, I guess, like just what he's in. I'm also on EBT, so I feel you, man. And so, it's a support system. And I just wanted to kind of add this. I think to me, the major attractor would be opportunity. And what I mean by that is I think a lot of times we come together and do the work about how we can do the work we have to do, but we don't actually have work to do yet, which sounds really kind of weird. But I think I would just like work to do. I have my huddle, I have my communities, I have this stuff going on, right? I have people and networks that I can all that, but I think I would just like some work to do, to be quite honest. And that's kind of if holistic systems can offer work to do, I think we can figure out, implement, and practice a lot of these different things in very meaningful ways. But I do think that is one of the core challenges, just simply actually having work for people to do. That'd be my desire, my attractor that I would ask.
And do you, thank you. And do you, just as a clarification, do you mean like work to do, for like paid work, like fiat money?
It could not be fiat, but I do. I mean, literally, like, I mean, an actual project or a grant or something that we're aiming toward that actually brings in financial flow. But gives everyone a reason to actually say, I have these skills, I'm applying in these ways, for us to be able to see how people work together, like actually getting into the mix of a project together. That I think that would be the thing that I'm kind of pointing to as being really be a big differentiator between a lot of things I see, and also kind of be supportive of being a kind of it's longevity and a right attractor.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's right. And, for me, right, that's always been kind of that starting place is like, how do we, how do we support ourselves, while we're working on something, meaningful with people who have a, shared purpose. It seems like, there's a way where like all of this sort of like knowledge and wisdom and group energy, kind of has filtered down in a sense, to like that number 7. It's at least, to me, it's, because, we get gone through the whole the journey and the presentation and all of that, and then we get to like, okay, well, how do we actually do it? What Brian was talking about, which was like, how do we, really facilitate this thing so it doesn't just turn into another, idea that, fizzles or a shit show. And maybe, like the idea is like 7 is if you have like, but it's not like 7 on their own, it's like, okay, well, if there's 7 people, right? If there's 7 people who, are in something together and are able to collectively, get something out of it. In other words, like 7 people that can create the model, right? That, the model that it's like, oh yeah, this thing that I'm doing, group is valuable, and it's helping me. And it's also then, helping, right, like whatever projects I'm working on, just helping. It's valuable. It's producing, the benefits of, being water, of being in a collaborative group. Then, I don't know if that works, then the sky's the limit, right? Because then you say, oh, okay, well, then let's just bring in another 7, or now we have 7 and then there's 3 people and there's 10 and then we get to 14 and now there's 7 and 7.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
Yeah. Because like,
and you can even start with just 3, like starting with 1, and then the 1 brings in 2 more and you get 3. And then that 3 begins ideating what it is, and then they bring in 3 more and 1 more, and then you have the 7, and then the 7 grow, and as the 7 are growing, you're mentoring the next 7 to form, right? So it's very organic in terms of its growth without too much complexity.
Yeah, and right, and I think that maybe the key here is that every time it grows, it's building off of itself, right? There's nothing like the next 7 doesn't have to create anything again that the first 7 created.
Exactly. And there's a natural way that they can stay connected, and create confluences of groups, right?
Yeah.
And
I think that's the idea, right? If there's that, if there's that shared, whatever can be shared within the group, whatever
turtles.
size. Yeah,
turtles
size,
all the way.
it stays within the group.
I love it. Absolutely. Turtles or frogs or something.
Yeah.
Well, there's this idea that there's a repeating pattern, or a way to manage the complexity. And so I saw a great definition of complexity, or it's like a simple rule that when repeated creates dynamic complexity. And we see this all around us in natural systems. When we try to mimic them without remembering that we are them, then we get into these, well, one could call it a shit show. where there's just a bunch of caca, laying around, not what we expected. We're like, why do we get caca and, the other generates a thunderstorm or, a soft, foggy rain that erodes a mountain and creates an entire ecosystem. With that being said, I think that it's really the relationship, and I am a bit feverish, and I am gonna sort of go in a minute, but it's the relationship of the raindrop to gravity, to the cloud, to the land that it falls on, like those little relationships that become huge. So this member portal and this platform is meant to facilitate those tiny little relationships, relationship with yourself as you go through, as I think one of the things that we talked about with Justin was that, like, figuring out like what it is that you need, or what it is, the job that you want and the task and the project that you want to do. And then there is a fertile ground of an avenue, a rain course, a water course, if you will, where you can put that little drop that may find another little drop, and then those two drops together go a little bit farther downhill in relation to gravity. Our intention here is to create that water course. Another name for the member portal in my mind, thanks to Eliza here, might be the water course. Because it really does it. We don't have to push it uphill. We all want, not to say we all want, I want an avenue to get what I need to get done on Earth while I'm here. And the wonderful thing is, and this, again, I love to just sort of grab the mic and keep talking. The wonderful thing that Brian, I think, brings up is that, there's so much conversation, and that when we get together, it sort of does seem like a shit show. And I wonder why, but this is something that the group of us have come up with. It's like, this might be better than this may be the foundation. This may be the smaller, the thing that we can build upon. And with that, I will leave it. I'll leave it up to y'all.
Yeah, thank you. I want to bring in the time now. I don't have a hard stop, for the meeting in 3 minutes, but I also want to acknowledge that, the official meeting time is over in 3 minutes. And so, folks can jump off. And if there is anybody who needs to jump off, and wants to kind of, check out, then let's do that now. And, it's right. It's but I have that, I have that question now of like, okay, where do we, are there 3 people here? Are there 7 people here? Here now, or here in the group that we're here today, or, who want to come together again in this way where it's not like, so maybe that's the key, it's not so chaotic, lots of people, but like in this, okay, what do I need? Each person, what do I need now? How can we meet those needs? There's probably 7 people who are, like an ideal 7 people, right? And if there's another 7 people, maybe, I don't know. Anyways, so in the 2, yeah. So that's, I want to just leave it there. Zoe, did you need to check out? Seems like maybe something after this.
I wish I could stay longer. It's really interesting conversation, and I'm really happy to meet you, Eliza and Justin, and it's good to see the rest of you guys again. Drive safe. And yeah, wish I could hang out more. Okay, I hope you guys have a great time. The presentation was amazing and nice brainstorming. Looking forward to next time.
Yeah, thank you, Zoe. Pleasure to have you here.
Take care, y'all.
Bye. I like what you're saying, Rob, and I think that every meeting should always close with a what's next. And so we don't just, so we really move us into tangible action and practical tasks that we can do. And so, I would be willing to sit on a council of 7, just to think about what the next steps would be. I mean, even that, like, what are the priorities for this group in terms of what we develop? Like, is it governance? Is it agreements? Is it structure? Is it, right? And you've already done a lot of structure. Is it enough? Is it what people like? And I think that if we could even just get this one group to work together to get it before bringing more people in, so that we're really feeling like it's working for this committed group, then we can bring more people in, right? So then we can expand.
Yeah.
And so, you know, maybe setting up a poll that says, what areas are you interested to contribute in terms of this co-creation?
Yeah, yeah. Or are you ready to contribute to the co-creation?
Are you ready? Yeah. And answering Justin and Brian's question, how could we not so much monetize this, but in reciprocity, provide us with, what we all do need, which is ability to sustain our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. Natalie, you still with
Hi.
us? Justin jumped off.
My computer camera stopped working for some reason, but I am here. And yeah, I want to thank you all for contributing so much. Rob for guiding and initiating this gathering, and Newman for sticking it out and taking the notes and paying attention, even though you're probably want to go curl up and take a rest. And Eliza for just jumping in the deep end. You're never afraid to get your feet wet, and I really appreciate that. So one of the things that crossed my mind in watching this is like, how do we also provide opportunity and prevent the member portal from becoming the lawnmower in your initial equation, right? I think Brian was asking about that. Like, I don't have finances. How do I get into this network without necessarily purchasing it? And I heard, Eliza, you mention bringing networks of people together. And maybe that's a concept for future explorations, because I do understand the value of this member portal is really to help us expose and identify for ourselves and for groups, and matching missing pieces of needs, values, and yields. What are we offering and what can we receive? But yeah, it's been a long meeting, and I don't want to grind it any further than that. And I look forward to see what does come next.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I mean, I think in a really, to me, in a really practical way, and Eliza answered this, in a really practical way, and maybe this is just, the follow-up is okay, who's, then who's in? Who wants to, who wants to start, And really, to me, that just means who wants to participate, so who wants to participate as far as I have certain needs, I have certain offerings, and also I, am willing to, put in, investment into coordinating it, because I think that's, yeah, I mean, those are the three main things, yeah, I think it has to be coordinated, because, as far as the doing projects, because I can't do all of that. Not that I don't want to, but I'm not able to, at this point.
And we've
Rob, go ahead.
Well, it's just there's this pattern that I see, and that we've talked about quite a bit, about the burnout of this center point, and we're trying to get away from that. I hope that the coordination goes down quite a bit, so that we can coordinate it on a different pace, at a different pace. and that it will be, you know, minimal, that we get a longer arc to where it is, you know. But then it really is a good question. It's just like, what is the coordinator's need, and can it be satisfied, and how can it be satisfied?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very, very important question.
And I think those of you that have been in it know that, and you know, there are people have just come to this, and so, you know, if you could write a list of really what you need in an ideal world, like straight off, that seems like a really good first step.
Yeah. I think I already have that.
Great.
Well, it's you know, I really liked what Justin said, because I think he was being super honest and very clear. It became very clear to me. It's just like he what I heard him say, and it resonated with me, is that I am looking for a place to put my effort. Like, I'm going to effort here in the world. I'm going to do it for fiat. I'm going to do it for the people that are around me, and I'd like for it to be, you know, to use that analogy again, which is something that I'm brand new, and thank you, Liza, for this, is the water course. You know, as the rain falls down on the mountain, and we all are in the rain, all these, you know, all this, you know, the environment is going, and it's just which water course, you know, where, you know, knowing where I am and what's my way down the mountain, and you know, what I've, you know, who I make a bond with, and who, you know, where I just sort of put my intention. And that's not to get out of sync with what's going on. It's more to get in sync and find out, like, what's that it. And I think that's what our member portal does. It like Natalie says, it exposes and finds missing needs and offerings, and it matches. It's just like, oh yeah, you're this kind of water drop. I mean, maybe breaking up the analogy, this is not, but
no, you're not. You're doing great. Keep going.
But yeah, it's sort of, it's that sort of way. Yeah.
One interesting thing about rain is that it's actually the plants that call in and create the rain.
It's intuitively, I know this, you know, intuitively,
yeah.
I know this, yeah.
So planting seeds and growing things in just our small little patch actually generates the rain.
Yeah.
It's the aerosols that rise off the plants that draw the water molecules together and clump into raindrops.
Right. As this, and then to use this to follow that analogy, like an immature ecosystem designer and builder, you know, with his friends, they're like, we want to make a cloud. Okay, the cloud looks like this. We get some white stuff, and we somehow get it up into the air.
And we seed it with a bunch of chemicals.
Yeah, and then there's gotta be some stuff, you know, like, it's just, we, you know, I love our ignorance, our avidya, you know, like, thing. Like, I love it, because it gives us like all these funny things to talk about how we used to do it. Just imagine 10 years from now, and we're like, you remember how we used to try to do this? We would make these things, and we would get all this sort of stuff together, and we just laugh now. We would just laugh, because
right.
everything worked out so perfectly.
Yeah. Well, let's think about that, you know, 10 years in the future, when we're laughing about all these systems that we were creating. And it was really so simple.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I love you all already. Yeah. I love you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Natalie, for inviting me in.
Yeah, thanks everyone. I'll, you know, follow up, and I think that we'll just, you know, that's always my thing, is what are the next steps? And I think that's, you know, I'll just follow up with everybody, but I think next steps are like, okay, who's in for this first round, this first group of people, and then
and put out a poll and set a consistent day and time that we just come and figure, and it'll come. It'll come to us.
Start to facilitate it. And that's the idea of the member portal, you know. It's that it's not it's not the thing, it's just the way, it's the mechanism, you know, it's just a mechanism to get started, to say, oh, okay, how do we do this, you know, in a way that can work.
And we'll start getting some navigational charts that will help us.
Yeah, absolutely. Woo-hoo.
Thank you all. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Many blessings.
I like your party shirt, Rob.
I hope it came off all right.
I just picked up on it now, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a big occasion, right? So I wanted to dress up. I mean, you can't get any more dressy than a tuxedo, can you?
Right. No, I think you got it right.
Or a tuxedo shirt. Thank you.
Well, I'll let you go, and I look forward to checking in later and seeing how this all unfolded for you. So
yeah, it was a lot. It was really amazing. It was amazing energy.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll see where it goes. But I think that there's some great energy that came in and came through, and hopefully, you know, can channel into you know, meeting the idea, you know, the desires that we have.
Yeah, excellent. Well done, sir.
Thank you.
We'll see you later.